Imagine somebody trying to use their gender identity to evade punishment. I mean, I'm really struggling to believe that anyone would use such an excuse, especially as most people with gender dysphoria or mental health issues would rather not make a big thing about it. All right, yeah, I'm extracting the piss, of course. It's used all the time in the pursuit of saving one's arse or trying to get other people into trouble. But would you expect it from a Conservative MP? Okay, me too. Tory MP Jamie Wallis, who crashed his car and done a runner, apparently in high heels and a leather miniskirt, tried to use his obsession with wearing women's clothing as an excuse after being found guilty of failing to stop, failing to report an accident and leaving the vehicle in a dangerous position. Clearly not half as dangerous as the position he left himself in. Wallis, who crashed his Mercedes into a telegraph pole before running off, told Cardiff Magistrates Court that he was frightened that a group of local people who came to help him were going to assault him, kidnap him, or kill him because he was dressed like a slut. Okay, he didn't say he was dressed like a slut. That's just my interpretation after hearing he was wearing heels and a leather mini. Probably stockings and suspenders and a butt plug too, but didn't want that found by police during a search. In fact, Wallis said that last time he wore women's clothes, he was raped at his flat in London, which had given him PTSD. Which is exactly why a person who dressed in women's clothes to entertain men decided that the very next time after being raped, he would go out for a drive.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Not that I'm making light of being raped, let me make that very, very clear. But let's face it, it's not the actions of a person who had been raped, is it? Wallis, MP for Bridgend, told the court that after he got his father to pick him up after the crash and take him home, he took medication for anxiety and fell asleep without phoning the police. But District Judge Tan Ikram saw right through Wallis's leather-clad bullshit, saying that he did not find Wallis to be credible. Ikram said he believed Wallis had tried to fit his behaviour around PTSD symptoms, adding his actual behaviour did not suggest he was overwhelmed or acting irrationally through fear. He made the decision to leave the scene, said Ikram. Could have rung 999 or 101. He didn't. I am sure he didn't through a conscious choice, not from being overwhelmed and acting irrationally. Ikram said that Wallis was able to make decisions such as phoning his father, going home, taking his meds and locking his door, which of course aren't really the actions of someone having a PTSD breakdown, and more like the actions of someone with something to hide, such as a butt plug. In fact, Judge Ikram pointed out that if his PTSD affected him the way he described, and if your judgment is impaired, as your lawyer suggests, some may wonder why you are driving at all. Wallis was said to have been going to see his estranged wife at the time when a cat ran out in front of him and he swerved and crashed. After all, let's face it, if you're dressed in heels and a leather miniskirt, the one thing you would want to be avoiding at that time would be pussy, wouldn't it? In the witness box, Wallis described being at home wearing clothes I felt most comfortable in, which I often do when I'm alone, which are women's clothes. Peter Rauch QC, defending, asked Wallis, "How long have you felt like this?" Wallis replied, "Since I was a small child." Wallis said he would describe himself as transgender. Wallis said he was raped in September 2021. He told the court he had made no formal complaint to police, but was going to have an informal talk with officers. He continued, "It was profoundly distressing. I became obsessed with what happened. I kept thinking about it, having nightmares and flashbacks. I would wake up in the middle of the night believing he was in my flat. I was hyper anxious and hyper alert." Hence why he never reported it, obviously. Wallis said he was diagnosed with PTSD and after the crash felt disorientated and confused. I couldn't see straight or think straight, he said. I think I was concussed. He said that when he saw people approaching him, he was overwhelmed and consumed with a sense of fear. I thought something very sinister was going on, he said. I remember feeling I was going to be accosted or restrained or kidnapped. Asked whether he was going to report the crash, he said, absolutely. I fully intended to report the incident. Of course you did. The spokesperson for the Conservative Party Whip's office said Jamie Wallis MP has been found guilty of various offences and it is right that he has been punished. We will not be taking any further action and will continue to provide welfare support. In March, Wallis, who was elected in 2019, became the first MP to come out as trans and disclose that he had been raped. Which, if you ask me, is a dangerous claim to make as an MP, especially if you haven't even reported it to the police. Although Wallis was found guilty of failing to stop, failing to report an accident and leaving the vehicle in a dangerous position, he was cleared of careless driving. I assume because police couldn't prove he was trying to adjust the butt plug at the time, but was disqualified from driving for a period of 6 months and fined £2,500. Now, for those of you that are going to have a go at me for saying, why didn't he report it? He's a man, he probably wouldn't. He would have been embarrassed. I'm sorry. I know in some cases that is true. I know for a fact, if somebody bummed me, I'd be going to the police. I don't care. I genuinely really don't care. I would go to the police and I would make a report. I wouldn't sit on it, excuse the pun. I wouldn't sit there and think, oh, I'm embarrassed about it. If somebody done me wrong, they'd get fucked up, one way or the other. Right? And I'd go to the police first. If the police failed to act, then I'd probably do something about it myself. But I certainly wouldn't be too embarrassed to go to the police over it. I know there are some people that would be embarrassed to go to the police. This is an MP. This is somebody in a position of authority, position of some power. And he's trans, allegedly. So why would he fear going to the police? He would get more help than a normal regular person.